The sky was still a soft shade of gold that evening when everything quietly shifted in a small, peaceful neighborhood where nothing unusual ever seemed to happen. Kids were packing up their toys, parents were calling them home, and the familiar sound of a patrol car slowly rolled through the street like it did every day. Before we start, make sure to hit like and subscribe, and really I am curious where you watching from. Drop your country name in the comments. I love seeing how far our stories travel. No one realized that within minutes, something completely unexpected was about to unfold, something that would leave the entire community stunned. At the center of it all was a little girl with bright eyes, a police dog trained for emergencies, and a moment that would test both courage and instinct in a way no one saw coming. The little girl's name was Emma, a gentle 8-year-old who loved animals more than anything else. She wasn't the kind of kid who looked for trouble or liked drama. She was shy, usually keeping to herself, often noticed sitting by the sidewalk drawing animals on a tiny notepad she carried everywhere. And yet, on this particular evening, she would become the only person who saw something the adults completely missed. What she spotted, what she quietly understood, would set the entire situation in motion. It would be her single small action, a simple rescue signal, that changed everything. Nearby, Officer Daniels was finishing his routine patrol with his partner, Rex, a highly trained police dog known for his focus, loyalty, and calm behavior. Rex wasn't the dramatic type. People often said he carried himself like he understood more than any human in the room. He could sense fear, stress, and danger long before anyone else noticed it. And while he was brave, he was gentle too, especially around children. Emma had met him a few times and adored him in that shy way children admire something but never say it out loud. Rex always wagged his tail when he saw her, as if he sensed something special about her. But this evening, something about Rex felt different. He kept glancing around, ears shifting, body tense, not in fear but in anticipation. Officer Daniels didn't notice at first. For him, it was just another calm sunset. But Rex sensed a shift in the air, something unusual that he couldn't yet pinpoint. And as fate would have it, Emma sensed it too. She had been standing near her house, clutching her notepad, when she heard a faint sound, so faint that anyone else would have ignored it. It wasn't loud or dramatic. It was more like a soft, stifled call or maybe even a tapping noise. Emma froze for a second, unsure if she imagined it. But then she heard it again. Something inside her stirred, a kind of gentle alarm that made her heartbeat speed up. She looked around. No adults seemed to hear anything. Kids kept playing. Cars kept passing by. Everything looked normal. But Emma's eyes narrowed slightly. She didn't understand what the sound meant, but she could feel something wasn't right. She didn't know exactly what to do, and she didn't want to cause a scene or get in trouble for speaking up. But then her eyes landed on Rex, sitting alert in the patrol car, his body stiff and ears pointed toward the same direction where she had heard the sound. That's when Emma realized something important. Rex heard it too. Their eyes met for just a moment, hers filled with uncertainty, his filled with silent understanding. It was like the world around them paused, leaving only the two of them linked by a strange instinct neither could fully explain. Emma wasn't trained like Rex. She didn't know the rules or the signals that officers used. But she remembered watching a video at school about what to do if you ever sensed danger or needed to alert a trained dog. It mentioned simple things, hand gestures, eye contact, steady movements. She didn't plan it. She didn't even think it through fully. Her small hand rose almost on its own, forming the simple rescue signal she had learned by accident. A motion so subtle that most people would have thought she was just waving or stretching. But Rex understood it instantly. His body reacted faster than Officer Daniels could process. Rex leaped off the seat, his tail low, his posture sharp and focused. Officer Daniels turned, surprised, wondering what had gotten into his usually calm partner. Before he could even call out Rex's name, the dog was already moving toward Emma, not with aggression but with purpose. Emma stepped back slightly, her heart pounding, but she didn't run. She just pointed, small, trembling finger aimed toward the direction of the faint sound she had heard earlier. Her face was pale, but her eyes told Rex everything he needed to know. Something, or someone, needed help. Officer Daniels rushed over, confused but trusting Rex completely. He had never seen the dog respond to a child's signal like that. It wasn't normal protocol. It wasn't even something they had trained for. The situation felt strange, almost unreal, but Rex's reaction made it clear that something serious was happening. "What did you see, Emma?" Officer Daniels asked gently. But Emma didn't answer with words. She just pointed again and whispered, "Something's there." "I heard it." Rex didn't hesitate. He started pulling toward the side alley, nose lowered, steps quick but controlled. Officer Daniels followed, his voice calm but firm as he radioed in for backup, just in case. Maybe it was nothing. Maybe it was an animal, a loose pipe, or a kid playing a prank. But deep inside, he knew that Rex never reacted without reason. Emma's small signal had unlocked something Rex had been sensing but couldn't act on until someone confirmed it. And the fact that a little girl did what a room full of adults couldn't made the moment even more surreal. As Rex turned into the alley, he suddenly stopped. His body froze, muscles tight, tail straight. He stared ahead, completely still. Officer Daniels felt a chill run through him. Emma, standing a few steps behind, held her breath. Something was there, something none of them had seen yet, something waiting in the shadows. Rex took one slow step forward, then another, his nose twitching, ears pinned forward. He had found the source of the sound. What he did next would leave everyone speechless. But at that exact moment, right before the truth came out, the alley fell silent again. No one moved. No one spoke. And then Rex reacted in a way that no one expected. Rex's sudden pause felt heavier than the silence in the alley. Emma's breath caught in her throat as she watched the police dog lower his head even further, his body stiff like he was bracing for something unseen. Officer Daniels tightened his grip on the leash, though it was clear Rex wasn't going to be held back for long. The sun had dipped behind the houses now, leaving a dim glow that stretched shadows in strange ways, making the alley feel deeper and darker than usual. Emma stood close but not too close, her small hands squeezing the edges of her notepad. She could feel something pulling her attention toward that narrow space between the old brick walls. It wasn't danger exactly, it was more like she could sense something important was hidden there, something quiet yet urgent. She didn't have the words to describe it, but the feeling wrapped around her the same way it had when she first heard the faint sound. It was the same sensation that pushed her to signal Rex earlier, trusting that he would understand what she could not explain. Officer Daniels knelt beside Rex, checking the dog's posture. Rex wasn't growling. He wasn't barking. But his muscles were tight, every sense focused. This wasn't the typical reaction he had when he found something harmless. The tension was different. It was careful, cautious, but steady, like he was trying to figure out what was still hidden in the shadows. Emma swallowed and looked up at Officer Daniels. "Do you think someone's hurt?" she whispered. He didn't answer right away. He didn't want to scare her, but he also didn't want to lie. "I don't know yet," he finally said softly. "But Rex thinks something's here." Rex inched forward, sniffing along the ground. His steps were slow but deliberate. Emma watched him the way you watch someone who carries the truth you're too afraid to say out loud. Every movement he made felt important. The alley looked almost abandoned. Old crates were pushed to the side, a few loose leaves rustled across the pavement, and a broken light flickered weakly above them. Yet the deeper Rex moved into the dim space, the more Emma felt the tension spreading through her chest. She stepped carefully behind Officer Daniels, her small shoes barely making a sound. Rex stopped again, closer to the back of the alley where an old wooden door sat crooked on rusty hinges. It wasn't fully shut. There was just the slightest gap, wide enough for a sliver of shadow to seep through. Rex's nose pressed toward the gap, and once again his body tightened. Officer Daniels stepped forward slowly. "Rex, what is it?" he murmured, though he knew the dog wasn't going to answer. Still, speaking aloud helped him stay steady. Emma felt a shiver crawl across her arms. That faint sound she had heard earlier suddenly replayed in her memory. It wasn't exactly a cry. It wasn't exactly a tap. It was somewhere in between, like someone trying hard to stay quiet while still trying to be heard. Rex suddenly shifted his weight, his tail lowering, his breathing heavier. He didn't bark, but he let out a soft, low whine. Officer Daniels stiffened immediately. Rex almost never whined unless he sensed distress. Not danger, distress. Emma's eyes widened. It was coming from there, she whispered, pointing at the door. Officer Daniels gently placed a hand on her shoulder. Stay behind me, okay? Just in case. She nodded, though her feet didn't move back as far as he expected. Something inside her wanted to stay close. Not out of bravery, but because she felt responsible. After all, she was the one who gave the rescue signal. She was the one who heard something no one else did. As Officer Daniels slowly approached the old door, he radioed in a quiet update. Nothing alarming, nothing dramatic, just enough to let other officers know he was checking something potentially important. Emma listened to his calm voice, steady and practiced, even if his eyes constantly flicked between Rex and the shadows ahead. Rex moved closer, gently nudging the door with his nose. It creaked open an inch, then another, revealing a small storage space filled with unused equipment, dusty boxes, and an old tarp draped across a stack of wooden boards. Officer Daniels stepped inside first, Rex immediately beside him, Emma hovering at the doorway. The air inside felt cooler, heavier. Emma rubbed her arms again as her eyes scanned the dim room. She didn't see anything unusual at first, just clutter and old forgotten things. But Rex didn't seem interested in any of that. His nose pulled him toward the far corner, where the tarp hung low to the floor. He stared at it, unmoving. Officer Daniels felt something uneasy settle in his stomach. Rex, show me, he said quietly. Rex slowly lifted the corner of the tarp with his nose. Emma leaned forward, her heart thumping so loud she thought someone else might hear it. The faint sound she heard earlier, this had to be it. Whatever was behind that tarp had been trying to get attention, trying to be noticed. And now, finally, Rex had found the source. Officer Daniels hesitated, then pulled the tarp back further, but only halfway. Enough to see that something was tucked inside. Enough for Rex to react again, this time with a sharp inhale and another low, urgent whine. But not enough to reveal what, or who, it was. Emma stepped forward instinctively, but Officer Daniels gently blocked her with his arm. Hold on, he murmured, his voice steady but tense. He needed to check it carefully. He needed to make sure there was no immediate danger. And yet, even he could feel the mystery thickening around them. Something was wrong. Something unexpected. Something that didn't belong in an alley storage room on an ordinary evening. He leaned in a little farther, keeping Rex by his side. The dog's tail was stiff, his focus absolute. Whatever he saw or smelled, it wasn't simple. Emma couldn't see clearly from where she stood. All she could make out was the shape of something small. Very small. Her breath caught again. What is it? She whispered, unable to hold back her question. Officer Daniels didn't answer right away. He kept staring, assessing, trying to understand what he was looking at. His eyebrows slowly knit together, confusion tightening his expression. Rex nudged the tarp again as if urging him to move faster, to uncover the rest. Emma felt her stomach twist. She took a tiny step forward despite Officer Daniels' earlier warning. Something told her this wasn't something dangerous, at least not in the way she feared. It felt more like something fragile. Something hidden. Something that had been waiting for someone to notice. Officer Daniels finally took a slow breath. He reached out carefully, lifting the rest of the tarp. But before the object beneath was fully revealed, a sudden noise echoed from outside the alley. A clang. Sharp and unexpected. Rex jerked his head up. Officer Daniels spun around. Emma gasped. Someone, or something, was watching them. The shape lingered near the entrance of the alley, just far enough that they couldn't see clearly. Just close enough that they knew the moment wasn't over. And the mystery they thought they had found was only the beginning. Rex's ears shot forward as the metallic clang echoed through the narrow alley. The sound bounced off the brick walls, sharp enough to startle even Officer Daniels. Emma stepped back instinctively, her small hand clutching her notepad like it was the only thing grounding her. The figure at the entrance didn't move. It just lingered there, half-shadowed, half-lit by the flickering alley light, as if deciding whether to come closer or disappear. Officer Daniels straightened but didn't step away from the tarp-covered object behind him. His instincts told him that whatever was outside mattered just as much as what was hidden inside this storage room. "Emma," he said quietly, "stay behind Rex. Don't move unless I tell you." She nodded even though her legs felt wobbly. Rex stood tall now, his posture alert but controlled. He wasn't barking, which somehow made the tension even sharper. When a trained police dog chooses silence, it means he's analyzing, waiting for the next signal. The figure at the alley's entrance shifted. Just a slight lean, like someone trying to peek without being caught. Officer Daniels didn't reach for his radio yet. He wanted to avoid scaring Emma, and he didn't want to spook whoever, or whatever, was there. "Hello," he called out calmly. "Is someone there?" No reply. But the figure didn't run either. Emma felt the air tighten around her. She couldn't help looking back at the tarp. Whatever Rex found earlier was still hidden, and the mystery of that object mixed with this unexpected stranger created a strange pull in her chest, like two puzzles overlapping without fitting together. Officer Daniels slowly stepped out of the storage room, one hand out slightly, trying to appear non-threatening but ready for anything. Rex stayed planted at the doorway, guarding Emma while still keeping one eye on his handler. "Can you hear me?" Officer Daniels tried again. The figure finally moved, but only a few steps deeper into the alley, staying in the shadows. Emma squinted, trying to make out any details. It didn't look like a grown man. The shape was too small, too narrow in the shoulders. Maybe a teenager. Or even a kid not much older than her. "Please, don't come closer," a shaky voice finally replied. It was soft, nervous, and definitely young. "I didn't mean to scare anyone." Emma's heart softened instantly. She whispered, "It's just a kid." Rex glanced back at her, then back at the alley, as if agreeing but still cautious. Officer Daniels lowered his voice. "Are you hurt? Do you need help?" The figure hesitated. "No. I mean, maybe. I don't know." There was fear in the voice, but not the kind that comes from being dangerous. It sounded more like someone who had been hiding for a long time and wasn't sure how to step back into the open. Officer Daniels took a slow step forward. "It's okay. You're safe. You can come closer." But the figure took a step back. "I can't. Not yet." "Why not?" Emma asked softly before she could stop herself. The alley went quiet again. The only sound was the soft hum of the flickering light above them. Then the kid answered, "Because someone else is looking for me." Emma's breath hitched. "Who?" The kid didn't reply. Instead, the figure turned, glancing toward the street as if expecting someone to appear at any moment. Then he whispered, "And whatever you found behind that tarp, it's not what you think." Officer Daniels froze. Emma's eyes shot toward the storage room again. Rex tensed. "What do you mean?" Officer Daniels asked carefully. But the kid didn't answer that either. Instead he said, "I didn't take anything. I swear. I just needed a place to hide, and I heard someone crying. That's why I came back." Emma felt a chill. "Someone crying, you heard it too?" The figure nodded faintly. So it wasn't just Emma. And it wasn't just Rex. That meant the sound was real. And the person, or thing, behind the tarp was connected to this kid in some way. Officer Daniels took a slow breath. "Listen, we want to help. But I need you to trust us. Can you tell me your name?" The figure hesitated again. "Liam." "How old are you, Liam?" 12. Emma felt something tighten in her chest. 12 wasn't that much older than she was. She imagined how scared she would be if she were alone, hiding, unsure who to trust. "Are you alone?" Officer Daniels asked. Liam didn't respond. He shifted again, as if torn between staying and running. Rex let out a soft huff, not aggressive, just firm, like he was urging Liam to stay put. Surprisingly, Liam didn't run. Officer Daniels tried again. "Liam, did you see what's inside this storage room?" Liam lowered his head. "Yes." "Is it a person?" Liam bit his lip. "I think so." Emma's heart thudded loudly. "A person? Someone hidden? Someone who might be hurt?" Rex stepped forward slightly, as though confirming the same thing. "Why didn't you tell anyone?" Officer Daniels pressed gently. Liam shook his head slowly. "Because if I did, they'd say it was my fault." Emma whispered, "What would be your fault?" Liam didn't answer. Instead, he finally stepped into the dim light, and Emma could see his face for the first time. He looked tired, scared, and dirty, as if he had been running or hiding for hours. There were scuff marks on his shoes, and his clothes looked worn, not dangerous, just neglected. Officer Daniels softened his tone. "Liam, listen to me. Nothing is your fault until we know what's happening. Right now, we just want to help whoever is inside that room. Can you tell us what you saw?" Liam looked past Officer Daniels, toward the tarp-covered corner. His voice trembled. "I saw someone lying there. Not moving much. I thought they were asleep at first, but then I realized they were trying to make noise. That tapping sound." He swallowed. "I didn't know what to do. I got scared and hid. I thought someone would come eventually." Emma whispered, "That's the sound I heard." Liam nodded. "I think they're hurt." Officer Daniels glanced back at Rex, then at the storage room. The tension deepened. If there was someone injured inside, they needed medical help. But before he could act, he had to understand what Liam was afraid of, and who else might be involved. "Liam," Officer Daniels said carefully, "who's looking for you?" Liam's eyes widened, and he stepped backward again. "I can't say." "Are they dangerous?" Liam hesitated, then nodded. Emma felt her stomach twist again. The evening had started like any ordinary day, but now everything felt layered with secrets. A hidden person. A frightened boy. A strange sound. And someone dangerous still out there. Before Officer Daniels could ask more, a new sound rose from somewhere deeper in the alley. Not a clang this time. Not tapping. This sound was softer, like a shoe scraping against pavement. Liam's face went pale. Rex turned instantly, body rigid. Officer Daniels stepped protectively in front of Emma as he whispered, "Who's there?" No answer. Just another quiet scrape. Someone else was definitely in the alley. Watching. Waiting. And the mystery that began with a simple rescue signal was only pulling them deeper. The quiet scrape echoed again, this time a little closer, and the air in the alley felt heavier than before. Emma gripped the back of Rex's harness, her fingers trembling. She didn't know if she held on to steady herself or to feel protected by the police dog's sturdy presence. Rex didn't growl, but the way his muscles tightened told everyone he was ready for whatever was coming next. Officer Daniels lifted a hand, signaling Rex to stay alert but steady. "Liam," he whispered without taking his eyes off the shadows, "is that the person you're scared of?" Liam didn't answer right away, but the fear in his expression said enough. His face had gone pale, his breathing shallow, as if he wanted to disappear into the bricks behind him. He shook his head slightly, not denying it, but terrified to confirm it. Emma stepped closer to Rex, feeling the dog shift just enough to shield her with his body. She could sense the tension pulsing through him. She didn't understand everything that was happening, but she knew one thing for sure: whoever was in that alley wasn't supposed to be there. And they were definitely watching all of them. Another sound came, this one softer, like a slow step dragging along the concrete. It wasn't rushed. It wasn't panicked. It was the kind of step someone took when they wanted the people ahead of them to know they were there. Officer Daniels lowered his voice even more. "Emma, stay behind Rex. Liam, move closer to me." Liam hesitated, then shuffled forward. His voice cracked as he whispered, "If they find me, they won't stop." Emma's heart thudded harder. "Won't stop what?" Liam closed his lips tightly, refusing to say more. The alley light flickered again, casting an uneven glow that made the shadows stretch in unnatural shapes. The figure at the entrance still hadn't stepped into full view, but Emma could see the outline now, tall, thin, wearing something dark. The stillness around them made the shape feel even more threatening, like it had been waiting for the right moment to move. Rex lifted his head slightly, sniffing the air. His tail was stiff, pointed straight behind him, a clear sign he was evaluating danger. Officer Daniels placed one hand on his radio, thumb hovering over the button, but he didn't press it yet. He didn't want to trigger panic. Not when he didn't know who or what they were dealing with. "Who's there?" he called again, louder this time. His voice echoed, steady but firm. No answer. Just another scrape, now only a few steps away. Liam's breathing grew shaky. "He followed me," he whispered. "I tried to get away, but he found me again." Emma felt her whole body tense. "Why would someone follow you?" she asked, voice barely audible. Liam's eyes glistened with fear. "Because I saw something I wasn't supposed to." Officer Daniels turned sharply toward him, but Liam looked down, refusing to explain more. Before he could ask any more questions, the figure finally took a step into the flickering light. Not enough for his face to be clear. But enough for them to see he was watching. Enough to feel the threat in the way he held himself. Rex shifted his weight, one paw inching forward, ready to react at the slightest signal. Emma could feel his quiet growl rising in his chest even if he didn't let it out. The figure's voice finally broke through the silence, low, distant, almost calm. "Liam," he said, "you shouldn't have come back here." Liam flinched so hard he stumbled backward, nearly tripping. Emma reached out instinctively, steadying him. She felt him shaking. Officer Daniels raised his voice. "Stay where you are. Identify yourself." The man didn't. He simply tilted his head slightly as if amused by the command. It wasn't a friendly gesture. It wasn't warm. It was the kind of motion that made the hairs on the back of Emma's neck stand up. Liam shook his head violently. "Please, don't let him take me," he whispered, voice trembling. Officer Daniels stepped in front of both kids. "No one is taking anyone," he said firmly. But the figure took another slow step closer, hands still hidden, movements controlled and purposeful. He didn't seem afraid of being caught. He didn't seem rushed. If anything, he looked like he was waiting for something. Or someone. Rex barked once, sharp, loud, commanding. The sound sliced through the alley, and the man paused for the first time. Officer Daniels seized the moment. "Stop right where you are," he ordered. "You're not going any closer." The man finally spoke again. "That's not up to you." Emma felt her heart jump into her throat. She looked up at Officer Daniels, whose jaw tightened. His grip on the leash steadied. Rex was fully focused now, eyes locked on the threat ahead. The man took one more step. And Officer Daniels finally raised his radio. But at that exact moment, a sound rose from behind them. A soft, weak tapping. 3 taps. Then silence. Emma spun around. It was coming from the tarp. From the person hidden beneath it. The tapping grew louder, like someone desperately trying to communicate. Someone who needed help. Liam gasped. "He's still alive." Emma felt her chest clench. Whoever was behind that tarp wasn't just injured, they were trying to warn them. Trying to say something. Trying to tell them the danger wasn't just outside. It was connected. The man in the alley took advantage of their distraction and stepped seconds closer. Rex reacted instantly, pulling forward with a low growl that vibrated through the ground. Officer Daniels held tight. "Stay back," he shouted again. The man didn't stop. Emma felt panic rising. Everything felt too fast and too quiet at the same time. Rex was tense and ready to judge the man's next move. Liam was shaking harder, eyes darting between the tarp and the man. Officer Daniels was trying to control a situation spinning wildly out of balance. The tapping behind them suddenly turned into a shaky, muffled voice. A voice pleading. A voice whispering something that made Emma's skin prickle. "Don't trust him." Officer Daniels spun around, shocked. The man in the alley froze mid-step. Liam's face drained of color. And Rex? Rex lunged forward with a burst of instinct that shattered the tension into chaos. Everything that had been building, the mystery, the danger, the hidden truth, collided at this moment, pushing them all into a cliffhanger that none of them were prepared for. And what happened in the next few seconds would change everything. Rex's sudden lunge shattered the fragile stillness in the alley. His powerful movement forced Officer Daniels a step forward, and the man in the shadows reacted instantly, pulling back just enough to avoid the dog's reach. Emma flinched, her breath caught somewhere between fear and shock. Liam stumbled behind her, pressing himself against the cold wall as if trying to disappear into it. The alley felt alive now, every sound sharper, every movement louder, every second heavier than the one before. But what startled them all wasn't just Rex's reaction. It was the voice that came again from behind the tarp. "Don't trust him." The words were weak but urgent, strained like someone fighting to stay conscious. Emma froze, her eyes darting between the man at the alley's entrance and the hidden figure behind her. She couldn't tell who the warning was about. The strange man? Or someone else? The man stepped forward again, more aggressively this time. "Stay out of this," he growled, voice no longer calm or controlled. "You don't know what you're dealing with." Officer Daniels tightened his grip on the leash, planting his feet. "Then explain it," he demanded. "Right now." Rex snarled under his breath, a deep rumble building in his chest as he positioned himself between Emma and the approaching man. His instincts were shifting from caution to action. Emma could feel the tension in his movements. This wasn't just alertness. It was protection. Liam's voice cracked as he whispered, "He's lying. Everything he says is a lie." The man's jaw tightened. "Liam, enough." But Liam didn't stop. His fear was turning into something else, desperation. "You said you'd help me," he spat, voice trembling. "You said it wasn't dangerous. But now you're following me and trying to." The man cut him off sharply. "Quiet." Officer Daniels looked between them, realization slowly sharpening his expression. "You two know each other." Liam didn't answer. He didn't have to. His silence said enough. The man tugged the edge of his jacket slightly, revealing for a split second something metallic clipped at his waist, something that made Officer Daniels' posture shift completely. Not a weapon. Not something dangerous. But something unexpected. An ID badge. He caught only a glimpse, but enough to read two words: private security. A twist none of them had anticipated. Private security? Officer Daniels said carefully. "You're not law enforcement." The man didn't deny it. He simply stepped into the light a fraction more, letting the badge catch the faint glow. "I'm doing my job." Emma stepped closer to Rex. "Then why are you scaring Liam?" The man's eyes flicked to her, cold, calculating, but not unkind. "You kids shouldn't be involved. This isn't what it looks like." Liam shook his head violently. "He's trying to take me back." "Back where?" Officer Daniels asked, his tone shifting, suspicion rising. Before anyone could answer, there was another sound behind them, a heavier thud from the storage room. Emma turned sharply. The figure under the tarp moved again, the tarp shifting slightly. Then a hoarse voice whispered, louder this time, "Get him away." Emma's skin prickled. She didn't know who the trapped person was, but their trembling voice carried a fear that contradicted everything the private security man had just said. The warning felt more urgent. More real. Officer Daniels moved closer to the storage room, torn between the hidden person and the approaching threat. Rex stayed with Emma, but his gaze flickered between both directions, overwhelmed with signals. The man stepped forward again, his voice firm. "You don't understand. Liam is supposed to be with us. He ran off during an evaluation." Liam snapped. "It wasn't an evaluation. It was a setup." Officer Daniels held up a hand. "Enough. Liam, what does he mean by evaluation?" Liam's lips parted, but no words came out. His eyes darted to the trapped person again, almost like he feared revealing something. Emma felt her stomach twist tighter. She sensed something deeper happening, more than a kid running away, more than a security guard chasing him. There was a connection between Liam and whoever was behind the tarp. She didn't know how she knew, but she could feel it, almost like the faint sound she'd heard earlier. Officer Daniels stepped closer to Liam. "You need to tell me what's really going on." Liam shook his head. "If I say it, he'll stop me. He'll..." Rex let out a sudden bark, spinning toward the alley entrance. A new shadow joined the first. Another figure. This one moving faster. Emma gasped and grabbed Rex's harness again. Officer Daniels drew back instinctively, putting himself between the children and the new threat. The private security man's eyes widened, not in anger this time, but in alarm. "This wasn't supposed to happen," he muttered. Emma's voice cracked. "Who is that?" The first man raised a hand toward the second shadow. "Don't come closer." But the second figure didn't listen. Their footsteps were quicker, heavier, more determined. The sound echoed like a drumbeat building toward something terrible. Liam whispered, "No, no, no, no." He followed him too. Officer Daniels stepped back, pulling the kids with him. "Who is that?" "Liam, who else was involved?" Liam covered his mouth with one hand, shaking violently. "It's the one who hurt him." Emma's heart dropped. "Hurt who?" Liam looked toward the tarp. Emma felt a sudden rush of cold run through her. The tapping. The whisper. The warning. Whoever was behind that tarp wasn't just hiding. They were hiding from someone. The second figure stepped into the light, and for a moment, the entire alley froze. It wasn't his size or clothing that made the air tighten. It was the look in his eyes, sharp, frantic, and searching. When he spoke, his voice cut through the air. "Move away from the storage room. Now." Rex growled deeply, the loudest sound he'd made all night. Officer Daniels raised a firm hand. "Not another step." The man didn't listen. He shifted his stance, looking ready to force his way in if he had to. Liam grabbed Emma's sleeve, whispering through clenched teeth, "He's the one they were hiding. He's the one I saw. He's the reason I ran." Emma stared at him, wide-eyed. "But why?" Before Liam could answer, the trapped person tapped again, harder now, urgent, terrified. "Don't let him." The man lunged. Officer Daniels shouted. Rex leapt. And in that split second, the entire mystery, every fear, every clue, every warning, collided in a moment that would push the story straight to the edge of its climax, with no turning back. As Milo pushed deeper into the trees, the quiet snapped like a rope pulled too tight. The cold air turned still, and even the distant rustle of branches seemed to fade. The little girl stood frozen behind the bush, her small hand still raised the way she had when she gave that rescue signal, a signal she shouldn't have known, a signal only trained handlers used. Milo glanced back once, making sure she was safe, then lowered his body and moved forward with slow, careful steps. Every nerve in him was awake. His paws pressed lightly into the ground, barely making a sound, and his ears twitched to every faint vibration ahead. Just a few feet away, Daniel tried to see what Milo was tracking, but the forest shadows swallowed almost everything. He reached the girl and gently whispered for her to stay behind him. She didn't speak. She only kept staring into the deeper part of the woods, her eyes wide but strangely calm, as if she knew something no one else did. Milo stopped suddenly. His tail stiffened, his nose lifted, and a low rumble vibrated in his chest, Not anger, not fear, something between warning and urgency. Daniel tightened his grip on the flashlight and swept the beam across the trees. The light caught something, just a brief flicker. Metal? Fabric? Movement? He wasn't sure. But Milo was sure. He moved again, faster now, and Daniel followed closely behind, his heart pounding harder with every step. They reached a narrow clearing, just wide enough for sunlight to reach the ground even during daytime. But now it was dim, the sky shifting toward evening. Milo circled the clearing, sniffing the ground with deep concentration. Then he stopped near an old fallen log and lowered his head. Daniel shined the light there and felt a wave of cold move through him. Footprints. Fresh ones. Not a child's. Not boot prints from hikers. These were big, and the pattern suggested someone running fast. Before Daniel could analyze more, the little girl finally spoke, her voice soft and slightly shaky. That's where he went. Daniel turned to her. Who? Who went this way? She stayed silent, eyes drifting toward the trees, her small fingers trembling just slightly. Milo nudged her gently, sensing her fear, and her shoulders relaxed a little, but she didn't answer. Daniel didn't push. Not yet. He crouched down next to Milo, studying the tracks again. They didn't look random. Whoever made them was moving with purpose, or running from something. The keywords search and rescue echoed in Daniel's mind, because this felt exactly like that, but with pieces missing, pieces that didn't make sense yet. Milo lifted his head again. This time, he stared at a cluster of trees to the right. His ears locked forward, and Daniel followed his gaze. At first, Daniel saw nothing. Then he spotted movement, just a shadow shifting between branches. Daniel rose slowly, ready to step forward, but Milo suddenly blocked him with his body. Daniel froze. Milo rarely did that unless the danger was real and close. Then a sound broke through the silence. Not a growl. Not footsteps. A voice. A man's voice, low, strained, and impossibly close. Help! Daniel reacted instantly, shining the flashlight in that direction. The beam found nothing but layers of bark and darkness. But Milo surged forward, pulling Daniel a few steps with him until the leash tightened. The dog kept tugging, desperate and focused. Daniel changed the flashlight angle, and there, between two fallen branches, he finally saw him. A man lying on the ground, barely moving. Relief washed over Daniel for a moment. Finally, something clear, something real. But as he came closer, something about the scene felt off. The branches near the man looked broken in strange angles. The dirt around him was disturbed, as if someone had dragged him there. And the man's clothes, they looked torn, but not from an animal or a fall. More like someone had grabbed him hard. Daniel knelt beside him. Sir, can you hear me? What happened? The man tried to lift his head but winced in pain. I wasn't alone. Those 4 words tightened something in Daniel's chest. Not alone? The man swallowed and pointed weakly behind Daniel. He ran, deeper in. A chill ran down Daniel's spine. Who did? But before the man could answer, another sound echoed through the trees, this time sharp, fast, and too close. Twigs snapping. Daniel whipped around, but Milo was faster. The dog barked once, loud, urgent, and full of warning. The girl gasped and stepped back. The forest went unnervingly silent again. Daniel scanned the area, but the beam of the flashlight shook in his hand. Something was there. Watching. Waiting. Moving when they moved. Stopping when they stopped. And the girl, she wasn't looking at the injured man anymore. She was staring straight into the shadows, her small voice trembling as she whispered, "He found us again." Daniel's stomach dropped. Who found us? The little girl shook her head slowly, fear rising in her eyes. The man who told me to run. Milo snapped his head toward the left, teeth showing now, not in aggression, but in full defensive mode. Daniel felt the air shift, as if the trees themselves were holding their breath. The injured man tried to speak again, but his voice came out barely audible. "Don't let him, get the girl." Daniel didn't move, afraid that even breathing too loudly would trigger something unseen. Then, from the darkness, a figure stepped out. Not close enough to see clearly, but close enough that Daniel knew this wasn't random. This wasn't an accident. This wasn't just a lost child and a rescue dog responding to a signal. Someone had been hunting them. Someone the girl already knew. The figure paused, standing perfectly still between two thick trees, his presence heavy and wrong. Milo growled, a deep warning rumble vibrating through the clearing. The girl clutched Daniel's jacket. "Please," she whispered, her voice breaking. "Don't let him take me back." Daniel's pulse hammered in his ears. He didn't know who this man was. He didn't know what happened before they found the girl. But every instinct told him the real danger was only now beginning. The figure took one slow step forward. Milo lunged. Daniel braced himself. And the forest exploded into motion, because everything that had been hiding in the shadows was finally stepping out into the light. The story's climax begins here. Milo shot forward with such force that Daniel barely had time to steady himself. The dog's growl caught through the air as he placed himself directly between the looming figure and the girl. The man stopped in his tracks, startled by the sudden rush of energy. For a second, everything froze, the forest, the shadows, even the cold breeze that had been brushing through the branches moments earlier. Milo's stance was steady, protective, ready to do whatever it took. Daniel moved closer to the girl, placing one arm behind her to keep her shielded while his other hand searched for his radio. But the man did something unexpected. He lifted both hands slowly in the air, palms open. "I'm not here to hurt anyone," he said quietly, though his voice shook. I didn't know how else to find help." Daniel didn't believe him right away. After everything, after the footprints, the fear in the girl's eyes, the injured man lying only a few feet away, this explanation didn't fit. Still, he kept his calm. Milo didn't relax either. The dog's eyes locked on the stranger, watching every movement he made. "Start talking," Daniel said, trying to keep his voice steady while his heart raced. "Who are you, and why was this girl running from you?" The man lowered his hands but didn't step closer. His shoulders sagged as if he had been carrying a weight too heavy for one person. "My name is Aaron," he said. "The man lying there, he's my brother. We came out here searching for help because we were followed earlier today. Someone wanted to take something from us, something we shouldn't have found." Daniel exchanged a quick look with the girl, who clung to his jacket but was no longer trembling as hard. Something about Aaron's voice sounded honest. Not confident. Not dangerous. Just tired. Worn down. "Then why did she say you told her to run?" Daniel asked. Aaron's eyes softened when they met the girl's. "Because I did," he said quietly. "I saw someone coming toward us through the woods. He was yelling, saying terrible things. I didn't know who he was or what he wanted, so I told her to run and hide before he could reach her." The girl's grip loosened slightly. "You wanted me safe?" she asked, her voice small. Aaron nodded. "I was scared. We all were." Daniel felt the tension in the air shift. The man's explanation didn't erase the fear they had all felt, but it began to form a different picture, one that didn't include villains hiding in the trees, but people caught in something they didn't fully understand. Still, something didn't sit right. "What were you running from?" Daniel pressed. Aaron crouched near his injured brother and let out a slow breath. "We found something near the old trail, an abandoned bag. At first, we thought someone dropped it. But when we opened it, we realized someone had been hiding things out here. Papers, strange recordings, maps with marks on them. It didn't feel legal. I didn't want to keep anything, but someone must have seen us. A man started following us, yelling that we had stolen his property." Daniel's pulse eased. This made much more sense. Not a kidnapping. Not a predator in the forest. Just a case of being in the wrong place at the wrong time. "So the man who followed you, where is he now?" Daniel asked. Aaron shook his head. I don't know. We tried to lose him by taking a different trail, but my brother fell and hurt his leg. And when we heard someone running behind us again, we panicked. I told the girl to hide because she was the only one who could move quickly. We didn't know it was you two approaching. Milo slowly lowered his tail but stayed in front of the girl, just in case. Daniel placed a reassuring hand on the dog's back. You did good, he murmured. The girl finally stepped out from behind him and looked at Aaron with clearer eyes. I thought you were the bad man, she said softly. Aaron shook his head. No, sweetheart. I was trying to keep you safe. The forest seemed to breathe again. The tight, heavy feeling that had covered the clearing slowly began to fade. Daniel called for backup, giving the location and explaining the condition of the injured man. While they waited, he and Milo stayed alert, but the danger felt distant now, almost like a shadow retreating as daylight returned. As they waited, the girl sat beside Milo, her hand resting on his fur. She kept glancing at Aaron as if trying to accept that her fear had been built on misunderstanding, and maybe exhaustion too. Milo gently nudged her hand with his nose, grounding her with that quiet, steady presence only a trained rescue dog could offer. Why did you give the rescue signal? Daniel asked her gently. She hesitated before answering. I saw it once, on a video my mom watched. I thought, if I did it right, maybe someone would find me. Her eyes softened as she looked at Milo. And he did. Daniel smiled a little, the tension in his chest finally loosening. Yeah. He always does. When the rescue team arrived, everything moved quickly. They tended to Aaron's brother, secured the area, and made sure the trail was safe. Daniel stayed close to the girl while she was checked by medics, who confirmed she wasn't hurt, just shaken and tired. As the officers gathered the strange items Aaron had found, Daniel realized this forest held more secrets than any of them expected. But that wasn't the story that mattered most. What mattered was the way one small girl trusted a police dog enough to call for help. What mattered was Milo recognizing that signal and responding without hesitation. What mattered was how complete strangers came together in a moment of fear and confusion, and still found a way through without harm. When everything settled, Aaron approached Daniel. I'm sorry, he said quietly. I didn't mean to scare anyone. Daniel nodded. Fear does strange things to all of us, he said. You did what you thought was right. Aaron looked at the girl again, his eyes softening. I never wanted her to feel unsafe. She stepped forward and gave him a small nod, not quite a smile, but a sign she understood now. As the sun dipped lower and the team prepared to leave the forest, the girl walked beside Milo, her hand brushing against his fur with every step. The fear that once filled her eyes had lifted, replaced by something stronger, trust. Gratitude. Maybe even a quiet pride that she had played a part in her own rescue. Daniel watched her and felt a sense of calm settle over him. This moment, this story, would stay with her forever. A reminder that courage doesn't always look loud. Sometimes it looks like a small hand giving a rescue signal. Sometimes it looks like a police dog running into danger without question. And sometimes, it looks like strangers finding each other at exactly the right moment. As they reached the edge of the woods, the girl looked up at Daniel. Will Milo remember me? She asked. Daniel smiled. He will, he said. Dogs remember the people who need them. She nodded softly, and Milo nudged her one last time before hopping into the back of the vehicle. As Daniel closed the door, he took one final look at the forest. The shadows were long now, but not frightening anymore. Just part of the story they were leaving behind. And as they drove away, he realized something important. Sometimes the scariest moments lead to the ones we never forget. And sometimes, the smallest voices call for help in ways that change everything.